Hey everybody, it's Ryno, and I'm here with my special guest, Miss Marvel herself. My voice is already weird. Jillian Hopke.
That was probably the weirdest intro you've ever done.
It really was. I just like to jump into the immediate Pee Wee Herman. And
well,
then,
I said, why are you preparing? Just
go. I've got a good forehead
Just
sweat.
going, sir.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about some Daredevil, Electra, some Marvel stuff. We're going to talk about... absolutely,
well,
yeah.
I mean, not new, really. These are very old
Yes,
characters.
as you can see, her newest issue of Electra, advertising this horror film coming out.
The original Scream.
I think Drew Barrymore's the main character in that movie. So we've got, we're going to chit-chat. I've kicked this table a few times, so I'm sure the camera got a little shaky. We just like to do our usual earthquake test. And now that we're through that...
There's rough and tumble fighting in all of these
Oh,
things,
yeah.
so we're just giving the audience some action.
Yeah. Speaking of that, let's go make a drink.
That would definitely help.
So you're going to need some amaretto, some spiced rum, orange liqueur, some cranberry, and some grenadine syrup.
If anybody's ever had any drinks that I've ever made before, they know that they are surprisingly strong. So you're going to need 3 parts of amaretto. So you're going to do 3 shots of that, 2 shots of the spiced rum. So far we've got 5 shots of liquor in here, but that's not enough. We're going to go for a 6th one, and that's of some orange liquor. 1 shot of that. Cranberry juice. Ryan has chose some diet cranberry juice so
For the
that
calories.
he can stay slim and trim for all his crime fighting. Fill that up till it's up near the top, and then top it off with about 3-4 tablespoons of some grenadine syrup. So it's nice and red. Looks just like a nice superhero costume.
Oh yeah, shake it. Oh, that looks real nice.
And there you have it, the Electra, a drink that both tastes delicious and knocks you on your ass.
This is one Daredevil of a drink.
You're stupid.
That's a Matt Murdock approved beverage. It'll make you go blind with just one sip.
Daredevil season 2 is now available on Netflix, which is very exciting. If you haven't seen season 1, it's amazing. If you haven't seen Jessica Jones, it's amazing.
You should definitely see that.
I
know
figured,
I like my ladies.
Of course, I do not. And I thought we could use this opportunity to, you guessed it, do a craft while we talk about the Netflix Marvel universe.
It's only the name of the show. Arts and crafts and drinks. We had the drinks. I was wondering where the crafts were. So what are we making?
We are going to do some plates this week. So for these, you're going to need a couple of supplies. You're going to need some old comic books, plates, Mod Podge, paintbrushes, like a thick paintbrush, and then kind of a thinner one, polyurethane gloss. These plates here, I got them at IKEA. They were $1 each, and they are, if you look here, they're smooth on the bottom. They have no edges. And you really can get as many as you want for this project. It's kind of like, do you want to make a pair? Do you want to make a set of 4? Get a whole Infinity War
that
thing
would
going. Like,
take up the
just
entire
200
wall.
dishes on your plate. Wait till somebody slams your door real hard when they leave, and enjoy walking around in barefoot, because you can never do that in that house again.
That's the real Infinity War.
In case anyone's wondering what all that noise is, that would be my friend Artie and my other friend Rocket.
They're just playing superheroes.
They're playing Civil War right now.
It never hurts to have some paper towels handy for a craft project. And the old alcohol, you may remember from last video, that helped save the paint on the carpet. But we're actually going to need it to clean off the residue that the tags from the store left on here.
Like that little bit of gunk. This is getting rid of that. So that you don't have like a big glue spot in the middle of your character.
I do recommend getting a tablecloth for like $1 at the dollar store.
You know what would be awesome right now? If we just had like a room full of toddlers. That would probably be more calm.
More calm than 2 corgis on the loose.
2 corgis?
Yeah.
What are you, the queen?
Yeah, well, you don't get to be king without banging a few queens, am I right? That's the speech I gave when I won Homecoming King. These comic books right here, I got these for $1. These came from at our local comic book store that we frequent. There are bins that are under the regular comic books that are nicely alphabetized and organized that are just, they're $1. Sometimes you can get them for 50 cents. This actual comic book store used to have like comic book day once a week, and you could go and get 4 of these out of the bins for free. That's the level of like quality these are. I don't know if it's just too many issues, whatever, but these are the ones I feel the most comfortable cutting up. I even said to you earlier,
'cause
like
they're
I was
only
terrified
$1.
of cutting up the $1,000
I mean, they wouldn't
Daredevil.
have put them in the bin. They would know.
And if you can't find your specific characters, you know,
They
Daredevil
cross
one.
a lot. A lot of these characters were in stories with others. So, like, this Daredevil actually is with Captain America.
Yeah, and this Doom issue has the Fantastic Four with Dr. Doom, but then Daredevil makes a guest appearance.
So for this project, you just need to find books that have the character in them. So you can just, like, cut and piece together the ones you need.
Absolutely. So first things first, what we're going to do, I'm going to show you the one we did earlier. So as you can see here, there's an image of the Punisher on this one that we did earlier, and he's the center, like he's what draws your eye, and then you're going to do the background. So, but you need to, since we're doing this in reverse, because it's on the back of the plate, you need to find that image first. So we're going to dig through these issues. We're going to see if we can find a good...
Yeah, it should be something that's like the full character, either a silhouette or like a really good pose, like the one that's on the front. Here where you can see like she's got like all of her little weapons and something like that. Maybe a little bit bigger. We'll find something.
I would recommend trying to find one inside of the comic book as opposed to the cover, only
these
because
are shiny. But,
and they're a little thicker
like
than the paper.
Where it's the full character and they're the focal point.
Let's look through our magazine, see what we come up with here. I didn't tell you either earlier. You'll need scissors. So we found a good one here. It's a nice, good-sized Daredevil. If you're questioning like what it'll look like, I just take the dish, put it on top. I think that'll be a pretty good one of Daredevil. His foot will come off a little bit, but it's pretty much nice, solid body right there. Just gonna take some scissors. I like to have at least 4 pairs at all times. It just eases the nerves to have that many sharp objects around somebody drinking as heavily as we are. I like your Electra that you've chosen. She's very sassy. She's got a cool
Her
action
hair
pose.
Is wild. Hurry up and cut out your...
slow.
I'm much ahead of you here.
You can start, like, putting her on your plate, I guess.
Oh, okay. So, I need a
brush use your whatever size brush you're comfortable with.
Mod Podge.
I like to just pour it out into the cap for the first part. Use the hodgepodge liberally. That sounds make-believe.
That sounds weird now.
Now we've said it so many times.
Stop saying it.
You're going to want to put your character right in the middle of the plate there. That looks really good.
So yeah, so she looks pretty cool, right? As we mentioned before, paper is flat, and these are curved surfaces that we're working with. So you want to make sure that you've used enough of the Mod Podge to really make it stick down. And if there's anywhere where it sort of folds or creases a little bit, just smooth it out. Just make sure that you've really flattened it out and that it's not sticking up.
Especially on these
anywhere on the
little edges right there.
Yeah, and we're gonna go back after we add the rest of them. See, that's coming up a little bit. We're gonna go back and add some Mod over the top of that just to make sure it double sticks down there. Anything that's near the edge.
So the next thing you want to do is like scroll through the magazine here. By scroll through, I mean use your old fingers and do it.
What you're looking for is something that's kind of a background shot but has the character in it. There's like some just sort of general scenery. The goal is to sort of get scenes that the character is in, but they're not necessarily the main focal point because you don't want to take away from the main image.
You don't want the background to be too busy.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about Marvel and Netflix here while we do this.
It's the best thing that they've ever done. I mean,
really is.
Everyone knows that I am a big fan of the Avengers.
Yeah,
I love them. I do.
As you can tell, she's her jewelry, wardrobe, everything is inspired by.
Always my.
That's for another segment someday. So this started a couple years back. Disney and Marvel, they signed with Netflix, and the deal was they were going to do a number of series with the B line of superheroes, like you were saying, the not household.
They're not the kids. Like your 4-year-old nephew isn't wearing pajamas with Jessica Jones on them.
Yeah, they basically were doing the Marvel Cinematic Universe phase situation, but on Netflix.
Yeah,
so it was
like
going to be
cinematic light.
Yeah, like it was going to be a number of these side characters who then came together and made the
honestly,
Defenders, right? Is that what it's called?
They're sort of the rough and tumble, scrappy version of the Avengers. Like the Avengers with no Iron Man budget behind them.
Right.
When you watch these shows, each episode feels like a whole movie. It's like it feels like it's forever. It's not like, oh, there's your 25 minutes have gone by.
Yeah, not in a bad way. It's just they have like character. There's a lot of character.
It's a lot
growth.
to absorb.
Yeah. A lot of
in an hour time period.
So they started with Daredevil, who they had just acquired back from Fox.
Honestly, I think that was their wisest choice because of the Defenders, he is the most household name. You know what I mean? People have heard of him before. They don't necessarily know his story, and that was a genius casting.
Oh
on
yeah,
their part too. Charlie Cox just nails it out.
You know, and I was one of the people that I saw it in the beginning, and I was a little skeptical.
Honestly, the fact that he's able to. Like, I know that he can see. You know what I mean? I know Charlie Cox, the actor, is not
Well,
blind.
it's a weird fine line that you walk, because it's like, he sees, but he doesn't see.
Yeah,
he doesn't
and
use
even
his
when
eyes,
he's, like,
but he
just
does.
standing around, he's, like, very noticeably emoting without emoting in the traditional sense.
Oh, I was immediately blown away by his performance. The first season is the introductory. Like, Daredevil's out kind of doing his thing, but he's not a fully formed hero yet, so it's kind of like the origin story, but a little bit further into the origin than... Like, you do learn how Matt Murdock, who is Daredevil, the blind lawyer from Hell's Kitchen, how he basically gets his quote-unquote, like, powers, I would say. And, like, you'll learn that along the way, but I don't really think of season 1 as, like, an origin story per se.
Because that's maybe, like, it's sprinkled out throughout maybe the first 4 or 5 episodes. It's not... The main focus is not to tell the origin story of Matt Murdock.
Vincent D'Onofrio's performance as Wilson Fisk in
it
Daredevil
makes you feel compassionate for him.
It was phenomenal. And it was really very real.
Literally, to the last moment of that first season, you're like, maybe he could be a little bit of a good guy. Mm-hmm. Like, on the inside. Maybe he's doing this for the right reason, or for what he thinks are the right reasons.
Right. That's the craziest part of the whole Daredevil, is that the whole first season is really 2 guys that are just fighting their hardest to do what they believe is best for their city, to save the city.
It's like, imagine you're like in your hometown and you think the place is going to like burn to the ground, and you're like, how do I save this
And people who are born
place?
in Hell's Kitchen are very passionate about Hell's Kitchen. Unfortunately, a lot of those people are not. They grow up having a rough life, so they're, it's very much like the Russian mob, the Irish mob. It's a lot of mob scene there. So they're just 2 guys that just grew up differently and just are trying to do the most they can.
And that's what I love about Marvel. They make their bad guys likable to the point where you could see their point of view. But I understand what motivated you to do this.
Well, Jill has mentioned our next hero a couple times, Jessica Jones, who and I don't believe you did either. We didn't really know much about her.
No.
As a character. I mean, I'm a name Marvel guy, whereas you dig into the nitty gritty. So you.
Well, and I was like, who is this? And I went back and read a lot of the Jessica Jones comic stuff, which is very different from, and a lot of the Daredevil stuff is very different from what we're seeing now
good,
on
different,
the show.
bad.
Different as in they're not crossing the universes so much. Like right away in the Jessica Jones comic story, like Captain America's there in like the first 7 frames. You know what I mean? So it's like.
You were saying Matt Murdock made his appearance.
Yeah, Matt comes in
Jessica
like, as
Jones
her lawyer.
is set in Hell's Kitchen too. We should say that. So they're like.
But
go on.
The shows are keeping them more, let's get to know these characters individually, and not... It's not that they're not doing the same sorts of plots and overarching themes, but they're definitely not mixing...
Right.
I mean, like in this one that you've got here, Captain America's right there. And clearly we're not going to be seeing this for a very long time, if ever.
In the first season of Daredevil specifically, have a bunch of throwaway references, because the first season is actually about them rebuilding the city basically after the New York attacks.
Well, and that's the other interesting thing is that we're sort of seeing the other side of the Battle of New York.
It's like painting. The movies are the very broad brushstrokes, and we are seeing like the little. It's kind of like what you were saying earlier about how they're an hour long and you feel like each is a movie. Well, it's kind of like we get 12 or 13 of those. We spend time with these people.
And you're seeing the aftermath of the regular humans. Not just like the supers.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, there's like a lady, without being spoilery, in one of the Jessica Jones episodes, they're talking about like, I saw my sister crushed to death
Oof.
by like a car. You know what I mean? And she's clearly talking about what we saw in the Avengers.
Yeah.
But that's all very cleaned up, and you know, you don't see all of that death and destruction other than on the big scope.
Well, I would say if you're light of heart, you want to be careful with these shows because they are
Violent.
violent.
I mean,
graphic. I want to
will-
say like not malicious.
I'll
well,
put it this
sometimes
way.
malicious maybe. Because
It's
Daredevil
not
season 1 was a little
gratuitous.
gratuitous is a better word. Yeah.
It's all with purpose. Like if you
serves
didn't
the story
see-
always.
Yeah, exactly. It's there for a reason. However, with that said, some of the scenes in the first season of Daredevil, I had to turn away or like close my eyes or block my ears because, and I know that it's just like a watermelon being smashed on a soundstage somewhere, but the context is disgusting.
Yeah,
sometimes.
and I want to preface that by saying, you know, that part of the story is about. It's basically about showing how Matt perseveres through it all, and
he gets beat.
you know, yeah, it's basically, and I have to tell you, this show, like there are times when you watch something and you know you're watching this moment where you're just like, this is a storytelling moment of greatness, and there was a moment like that in the first season, and it's like Matt is sitting in his house and he just everything he's done in the series so far, like nothing has worked out, and he just starts crying. And you're just like, you feel it. And that right there where I said, this is one of the best things that Marvel has done, because it was very realistic, where you can see like yourself in that person, where you were trying to, you know, be a good person, you're trying to do the best thing and do the right
and it's
thing.
still not enough.
Right, and exactly. And there's still people that get you down, and I think that's a very relatable story to people.
Physical pain, it's emotional pain.
Mm-hmm.
They deal with a lot of difficult themes.
It's a very human story, and so I think Daredevil Season 1 set that precedent very well, and then that brings us into Jessica Jones, yeah. It's in Hell's Kitchen. It deals with different types of people, because these are people who have more... I mean, a blind man who's fighting crime is outlandish, but this one is, you know, she's super powered, and again, this is not an origin story either.
She doesn't want to be super powered. Jessica Jones would rather just like go sit at her house, drink some booze, watch some Netflix. Like, she has zero interest in being a superhero. She played that game.
And that's what I love, is that this story starts there, and it never... Like, yeah, you kind of know, they give you, like, the bits and pieces, but it's basically like, this is the story. We're not telling that story. I'm going to say this about those shows, all of those shows. You just drop that blind man on his head.
He's drunk. He can't see where he's going.
All of the Netflix Marvel shows are expertly cast. Like, all the villains are wonderful. All the main actors I think Kristen Ritter was born to play the role of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, you're like, what has she been wasting her time with all this apartment in 24B, whatever crap?
Helping out in Neptune.
She was just
Veronica
waiting
Mars.
to be Jessica Jones. I think they were all Kilgraved. All of us.
Well, when David Tennant
Some
makes
of
an
us
appearance
more
on the
than
screen,
others.
we just one does pay attention.
Yeah, we'll just throw things at him. It's fine. But no. But on a serious note, in a similar fashion to how we feel about Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk, it's that very fine line between, like, well, you know, does he know any better? Maybe this is just how he was brought up.
Yeah.
If your benchmark for what is right and what is wrong is already set at an 11, you know, how do you ever know what
Shouldn't
a 5
you say
is?
it's 10? Now, this one deals with... the villain is a superpowered villain, and I really
very
liked how they
handsome.
handled this. Yes. One of my favorite things about Jessica Jones is they kind of took this aspect of being like, okay, well, we've had these many episodes. Why don't we explore options more? Because I've always wondered, and people have said, like, well, maybe it was just your upbringing that did this to you. You know, if you did the right thing, would you do this? And Jessica Jones explores that.
Yeah.
It goes
From
into
a
being like,
child.
can you change
Yeah.
somebody? You know, can you...
If that's the way they're brought up, do they know any better?
Right. You need to know the difference between Daredevil and Jessica Jones. Is Jessica Jones is, at heart, every single thing is about violation. This is definitely a show about someone being taken advantage of against their will.
Empowerment in the face of violation.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. And executed expertly by every single person.
And not letting what's happened to your past
Overrun the rest of your future.
take over your whole life.
Yeah. I don't even know if when they put this deal into play, if they thought everything was going to be as successful as it was,
No,
because we were not supposed to get a second Daredevil season until after the Defenders, but
everyone's like screaming and hollering because it's so good.
They pushed it, and honestly, I'm hoping the same thing for Jessica Jones. And I will say this about Jessica Jones: it does such a wonderful job with that world that I honestly thought at any moment Matt Murdock was going to pop up on screen. How's your plate coming out?
I'm almost done over here. How's your plate?
I'm getting there.
I'm going blind. See, you're like actually taking some care into. I'm picking out like.
Well, I had a hard time.
I'm waiting for the reveal. Like I haven't even turned it over yet. I'm just putting them all in there. Then we'll see what it looks like.
She's playing Yahtzee right now.
Dangerously.
So they've already aired the teaser now for Luke Cage. It's like nothing. It's literally just basically a photo of him and
the teaser is usually as it says on the label.
Let's talk about season 2 of Daredevil real quick here. Okay, so season 2 of Daredevil.
We'll go back to where we started from.
Yeah. Season 2 is airing on Netflix right now, and the big deal here is that they're using yet another side character that they have recently reabsorbed into the library, the Punisher. And we also know that Electra will be coming. However, we're not to that point yet. She's not there yet, but
I'm real excited about it.
But the Punisher is there, and he is brutal. And from what I understand, though, is that this is going to be it for the Punisher. It's kind of a one-off because they were saying, I've heard both things. They were saying that they don't. They're basically saying like they don't have plans to continue on with his character the way that like Luke Cage kind of spun off of Jessica Jones, even though he was planned on his own. But it's interesting. I'm going to tell you right now, Daredevil. It's still very violent. It's very gun oriented, but it is it serves the story again because the story is basically going to be: is he a Daredevil wannabe? Is he just Daredevil with guns? And I think this place is going to take us into interesting areas. And I'm going to say right now, I already spotted the Civil War reference, and they basically one of the police officers said something about makes you think twice about that whole registration, superhero registration. I was like, oh, it's coming. This Daredevil plate is coming out real well.
Yeah, I would say though that this one's a little teensy bit better.
Electra's looking pretty nice on the front. Once you're done there, you're gonna flip your old girl around, do a whole coat on the back.
Yeah, be careful that you're really getting the edges, like where the edge of the plate is. But just make sure you're really sealing it up, because once you trim the paper, you can see there's sort of these little spots where it like lifts up. So just make sure you're really sticking those down.
Yeah, sticking it down, and then you can always do that alcohol wipe across the front to get the streaks off the front of the paper.
This is very you've got very square angles.
I think the word you're looking for is yours is very good. Would you like to see Daredevil in the movies?
In some ways, it could make everything really good, but then in some ways, it could be like, oh no, now you've ruined it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of like Lil Maddie in his little world. I think keeping that. I think bridging those stories together, the Daredevil, Jessica Jones, those having their own Avengers style canon is good, but I don't know if I would want to see it. Maybe just like a cameo of them like running in on a battlefield or something, but.
So what do you think will bring them all together to be the Defenders?
Oh.
That's what I've wondered. You know, will it be something related to the Infinity War? Because I've kind of started to think about that.
Will it be Hell's Kitchen? Will it just be uniting?
Well, what I've heard is that Luke Cage is not limited to Hell's Kitchen, as the other two have been.
Right.
And so that'll be interesting. That'll be the first time we kind of get out of that world a little bit. Mm-hmm. But will it end with him going back?
So, if you notice how Ryan's just finished his plate, you got to trim the edges. See how there's like all this junk around there?
Yes, this is where kind of
we tried a couple different techniques on this, but it seems like scissors is just the easiest way. Take the scissors and just go like close to the edge, trim it off.
Yeah.
Like that.
If you're having trouble with your edges, a thing you could do, and we're not going to do that today, but you could glue some. What were you saying? Some like trim around the end of it.
Hot glue and just.
Do
like a twine trim.
Yeah, just right here. This even has a lip like built in for it, right there. It's got a little sort of lip right there.
You know, something that goes with
Like if I were, okay, so for these two, like this one and this one, I'm sure you can get a little red rope and just do a little
cord, cording, like a nylon cord
Something.
or a black. Black would be good too.
Yeah. All right, so you've got all your photos cut out. They all look good. The placement's great. You're gonna do an extra little thing of you're gonna coat the entire back, and this Mod Podge is Jill is already so much faster than me and has done. But again, liberally use this, and what you're going to want to do is oh my god, I've gotten it everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Disaster.
It's in our eyebrows. It's everywhere.
Yeah. So you want to soak the backs because you're going to get, like for me, I've got a little bit, it's not flat on the back, but you want the back to be just as flat as the front, even if it's a part that you can't show, because this is still going to be a plate. Either you might use it.
Yeah.
These could be a serving plate. You could do this with a serving tray.
This could be really cool, like a charger on if you got.
Oh, like a nightstand dish?
No, yeah, how if you set out the table, you get those big fake plastic plates. You could get like a bigger version of this, and then this would be your servingware. So the plate you eat on goes on top of that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. I see what you're saying.
This would be like the charger.
Yeah, I thought you meant for phones.
You're a moron. Not for phones.
Remember, we still have one step after this, and that is going to be, you want to let this part dry.
The urethane!
But then your urethane. Who's urethane? I barely know her. Oh, God, that's terrible.
Maybe I should have put less alcohol in the drinks.
Okay, so polyurethane, is that diluted? Because sometimes I've heard that you have to dilute polyurethane. I think that's actually blue.
This is craft urethane. You don't want to go to Home Depot and get deck urethane. That would not be what we're
that's a
talking
really
about.
good point. You want to make sure that the urethane that you get is clear.
This is a crafting gloss varnish. This is not to stain your deck. You don't want to get an outdoor rated product.
Yeah.
Just something you can buy at Walmart or Michael's, Joann's or something.
Ask the person.
That specifically is for crafting.
So I recommend maybe a little container like this or something like that. Something that could be flipped over too, because then you can put the dish.
Yeah, because you don't want to stick that straight down on your table that you care about.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much all of these are craft supplies, which are soap and water cleanup, but if they weren't.
Oh, Matt Murdock dish. It's coming out pretty good. You know what? I should have got stands for these. I wasn't even thinking they could just be display dishes.
You can just get them, you know what's perfect stands for these? Those little, the A-frame picture frame holders. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, a little tiny one. I'm curious about your opinion since we talked about the Netflix stuff. Do you think that we'll see you think we're going to see a rated R theatrical release of a Marvel movie with Disney? And we've seen rated R Marvel movies before. Deadpool is not the first. Right. Blades, all those were rated R, I think, except for maybe the last
but you're talking about under the blanket of the Disney
under the new
ownership.
one, yeah.
I would say that it's possible, but it's not plausible. Does that make sense?
I mean, think about it. Pirates of the Caribbean was the first PG-13 movie they even did under Disney banner.
I think that they don't. I think that Disney has created such a huge presence with the Marvel Universe cinematically that they wouldn't want that to be, with the Daredevil movie, people are still bringing their 4-year-olds in being like, oh, I didn't know this was rated R, even though I had to have 17 IDs to buy these tickets.
Deadpool. She meant Deadpool. I did the same thing. I kept saying, one ticket for Daredevil, please. And the lady was like, do you want to see that movie? And I was like, oh, no, just kidding. I've already seen it.
But with Deadpool, people have been confusing it for not an R-rated movie. So I feel like from a marketing standpoint, Disney would want to keep those things separate. Do you know what I mean? So that there was no confusion of my 4-year-old's gonna go see this rated R Disney branded Marvel film and then complain about it for the rest of all eternity because they were an idiot and didn't notice they had to buy rated R movie tickets. How is that even something that somebody doesn't notice? I don't even get it.
Have you heard about that new thing too, by the way, where it's
after 6 o'clock?
No, 6 after 6. Yeah, which I feel like it's not supposed. 17 or under requires an adult. What are they even thinking? I think it's a way of getting people to stop bringing babies into movies. So one thing you want to remember about the polyurethane here is you probably actually want to do 2 to 3 coats of it. So do one, let it dry completely, and then do another one. It'll give you a little bit more of a firmer, a better seal on the back.
And wait for it to dry.
I think these came out pretty good.
That's very respectable for our first try.
Yeah, for
well,
these, look, we've got
like, we made the Punisher one, but it's really not.
He's like the test. He was the prototype. Yeah, so this is a fun project that you can do. I think I think it'll be fun. Go out to your...
I really think this would be cool for like a dining room set.
Yeah.
Like a comics themed dining room.
This would make a great gift for somebody. Like,
yeah.
So if somebody's like birthday was coming up, you could do this and
a
give
set.
them the themed drink to go with it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Give them a little card written up, typed up, something like that, or maybe a food item. But maybe we'll get into food items next time instead of drinks, or with drinks. Let's not kid. Like,
no,
we're not gonna
it's
have
arts and crafts and drinks and
food
and clothes and whatever.
So I want to say thank you for coming to help me out today. I really
Thanks
appreciate
for letting
it.
me make the Electra plate.
Yeah, of course. I meant to say this in the beginning of the video, but you may have recognized Jill. She was on the show before. She was in an episode of The Trip. Jenny Lynn and Teresa went to visit your cupcake store.
They did,
and also, she's been on Cupcake
and they
Wars.
decorated cupcakes, too.
Yeah.
That was pretty
You can watch
exciting.
that video on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DizUnplugged, and look for that one. And if you want to look for Jillian here, or visit her store,
Yeah,
which
I
is
was gonna say,
located...
we're located in the Trader Joe's Plaza in Winter
What's
Park.
that store called?
Jilly Cakes.
What's she make there?
Cakes.
That's my least favorite question. People come in the store and they're like,
What's
a Jilly cake?
Well, I'm the Jilly
What?
of the cakes.
Yeah.
They're made by me. If I had $1 for every time someone asked me that question.
Seriously.
Yeah, so you could either come in there or check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Jilly Cakes Bakes or Jilly Cakes on Facebook.
Yeah. And you really should, because if you're loving Marvel, these plates would be great with some of your Marvel cupcakes.
They
You've
would
got to
be.
check out some of the photos of the cupcakes she's done. And, you know, I'm sure there'll be a future episode where we take a trip down to the cupcake store and maybe we'll bring these plates with us.
Maybe
I'm just
we
kidding.
will.
We'll make new plates. Any excuse to craft, really.
Yeah, no, it's true.
But, yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.